Hey everybody, Shane Rice here, and I'm just wrapping up my CEO shadow rotation, and my 3-year-old is in the office with me, so she may interrupt here in a second. But I just wanted to do a quick recap on some of the things I learned and the highlights for me, and so I'll get right into it. I think one of the things for me is being in marketing, being focused on search marketing, SEO specifically, and trying to really wrap our hands around the issues we find there and making sure that we got everything moving in the right direction. It's easy to zero in on that and kind of not have the zoomed out view on just how ambitious what GitLab is trying to accomplish is. And so as a shadow, I sat in so many calls that reminded me, while we focus on small changes today, we focus on iteration today. Our goal as a company is still to make something everyone in the world can use to do their work far into the future. Not just developers, not just ops, not just security, but make it as usable for everybody as possible. So every organization can use GitLab to get as much done as we get done. And so that was really inspiring. And I think a corollary to that is being in meeting after meeting with Sid. One of the things that I come away with is just how ambitious he is personally, both in his role as CEO of GitLab and the mission of GitLab, but also the things that he's excited about. Charter cities, Ciderate, the game that he's been contributing towards and working on with a team that is outside of GitLab and has other areas of interest and other investments. It's just been really great to see where he puts his interest outside of GitLab as well as to our core mission. So for me, this is a remote rotation, obviously, and so I hesitated to sign up during the remote rotations just because I really wanted to spend time in San Francisco. I wanted to have those face-to-face interactions with everyone that was involved in those meetings as much as possible. And to visit San Francisco, it's a really neat city. There's lots to see and explore, and every time I go, I experience something new. So I was kind of looking forward to being able to do that maybe one day. But looking at it now, being remote was a big benefit for me because it built in time for me to process things. So I am naturally talkative, extrovert. And so I tend to fill space with conversation. So, if I have downtime, I'd probably find something to talk about, whether it might not be the last meeting. It might be, some other meeting or some other topic that came up in the meeting. There's no telling. So for me to be able to, go into a call, maybe even a block of calls and then come out of that with 30 minutes in my office, in my normal routine, being able to walk inside, grab a cup of coffee and think about things kind of in a place that is familiar. It helped me to focus on processing what I just heard and kind of, incorporating that into my understanding of GitLab, our mission, those things. So I think that's been, something that I thought I wouldn't enjoy as much has really been a big benefit for me. I think, another aspect of the remote program for me that was a little challenging is family time. I'm in the central time zone, so I made sure to start my days at the same time Sid did, so that gave me a couple extra hours in the morning with the family. But some of Sid's calls, some of that schedule does kind of bump up against bedtime for a 3-year-old, and so we had to kind of navigate that. My partner and I, and everything worked out fine. It wasn't anything where family suffered. I did keep family first the entire time, but even keeping family first, there are stressful moments in that. And so just something to think about if you're thinking about the program is just making sure you can communicate clearly those expectations and what's happening. When I, the Sunday before I was going into the program, I reminded my partner I was doing the CEO shadow, and she was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm going to be working like from 10 to 7 instead of 8:30 to 5. And she's like, what? And so that's kind of on me. I didn't communicate the time difference with her, but again, we were flexible. Everything worked out. And then finally, I think one of the things, when I was looking at the handbook page and going into the week, I'm a little competitive, and I try not to let that drive me too much, but it's there. And so I wanted to crush the number of merge requests during my rotation. And I don't think we'll be close on either week to highs. But part of me wonders if this is probably a function of taking in a part of a program that's kind of matured and iterated a lot from its early beginnings, and so we've made lots of merge requests, lots of great changes. Probably the most exciting bit for me yesterday was being on a learning and development call, Q&A with Sid and the learning and development team. And after we finished the Q&A, Sid turned around and asked Lauren, my co-shadow, and I to write a blog post about giving and receiving feedback, and then including the video from that session. And it was it was really cool because we got to use the Netlify CMS that Lauren's been working on, and the digital experience team's been working on. And my keyboard's right here. Oh, you mean the keyboard you play music on? It's put up. I'll get it out later, okay? Well, because I didn't have room for it on my desk. So those are just, looking back over the 2-week period. Oh, also, one of the things that happened for me was my rotation was split. So I had 1 week, and then there was sales kickoff, and then my second week was this week. And I wonder if, it might not be helpful to build in an opportunity to have that kind of break, just because, you still get to teach someone, you're still learning from someone that first week, but that week in between gives you an opportunity to come back to 1 week of work at a time instead of coming back to 2 weeks of, issues to dig through and things to catch up on. So it gives you a little bit of you still have, things to kind of catch up on, and it's not, my team's taking care of a lot of things that we would normally work on together. But anytime you're out of the loop of your regular job, you just have those things that kind of pile up. So I think that that week off in the middle is actually kind of helpful. So I'm going to make I don't know if it's a suggestion, but I'm going to at least point that out to Sherry and to Sid as well, that it's something, it might be something to consider as far as how we build the program, to maybe add that in, because I know some people that I've talked to about doing the program are really concerned about just the amount of work that would be missed if they were out for 2 weeks, especially if you're on a smaller team and you're a critical part of that team. So that's my impressions, the highlights. Happy to answer any questions, and I'm going to go finish up my offboarding issue now. So thanks, and talk to you soon.